This is AMD SP3 socket, not 2011, as I identified it previously. I don't know why I did that, because obviously it's twice as big. It's got more than 4,000 pins, so it's essentially an equivalent of 4 small sockets around 1,000 pins each. Now to compare it to 2011, this is 2011-3, and this is our SP3. All right, so twice as big, essentially twice as many pins on the socket. Now that alone seems to be a challenge, but actually that makes very little difference in my view, because if you can reflow a 1151 socket, there's no reason you can't reflow 4,000 pins if you can do that for 1,000 pins, right? The procedure, everything is essentially the same. But with this kind of board, since there's so many pins, we're facing a different problem here. And the problem is that there's plenty of vias. Unlike on other boards with either 1700 socket or 1200, 1151, 2011, they might have a couple of holes inside between the cabs. So that sometimes is a problem where the flux flows into that hole and drops on the heater and smokes a lot. It happens, but usually that doesn't cause fire. In this case, we caused actual fire on the machine. And we had a few excellent suggestions in the comments what actually caused the fire, what actually caught flames. My investigation revealed that few of you guys were correct in the comments. It is a coating of the board. So my flux, and probably any acidic flux, reacts with this coating. So what I did to confirm, I just put a little bit of flux on the board and I left it to see what's going to happen. And indeed, the flux starts reacting with the coating, making it into some kind of like gel substance. And it is green. It's greenish. After mixing with yellow flux, right, with this color, it becomes green, which means it's most likely blue. So that's problem number one. I removed as much of this coating as I could, but that's only problem number one. Problem number two is, or are, the vias all over the socket. So if we do the normal procedure, like we always do, we put a little bit of flux, use the brush to just kind of evenly spread it, place the socket and run the profile. Wait for the socket to drop and cool down, clean it, and we're done. If we do that, then during the preheating stage, all that flux, well, maybe not all of it, but some of that flux is going to start oozing through the vias and dropping on the heater with a little bit of coating still mixed in, which means it's gonna cause fire again. So probably we can do that. One suggestion that I received in the comments was to put Kapton tape on this side, essentially sealing it on this side, preventing the flux from making it from this side to the other side. And while that is not a bad idea, I fear two things. Number one, Kapton tape, since I'm, maybe it makes no difference to you when you use hot air or something, but since I'm using infrared, that Kapton tape is going to block a lot of that radiation, reflect it, so the heater is going to think that it's hot, but it's actually just a heater that's hot, not the board. And number two concern is that since we're going to block it at the bottom, the flux is still going to make it into the via and it's going to be boiling inside that via. Now, is that going to be safe? What's the repercussion of that? I have no idea. It might, by reacting, expanding and boiling inside the via, it might affect the socket, and when it reaches the reflow temperature, it might move it slightly due to that boiling in those vias. So for those two reasons, I'm not going to use Captain Tape method. What I am going to use is essentially a adjusted profile. So I'm going to preheat the board first. Then, once it's nicely preheated, and it's essentially ready to accept the socket, I'm going to put the flux on, let whatever needs to drip on the other side drip on the other side, place the socket, and run the reflow. And I'm going to try to do the quick reflow. And hopefully that will work. But we also don't know if the socket is leaded or lead-free. I'm not sure, but I'm hopeful that this is leaded, because it's relatively shiny, relatively uniformly shiny. If this was lead-free, or definitive sign of lead-free, would be balls, some of the balls like here, completely matte, right? I'm not sure, but I'm gonna hope that this is leaded, which means we don't have to bring it to very high temperatures, but we're still gonna run to 218 just to be safe. All right, let's see if we can make it work. Alrighty, this actually worked a lot better than I thought. But what I did, I took the brush, my large dish with flux, and I put a lot of flux on the socket. As you saw, I didn't put the socket on until the board was preheated. So at the essentially step 10, I think, we got 12 preheating steps, and number 13 is the first one that actually uses the top heater to bring the temperature up. Now, the challenge here was that the thermocouple is relatively on the edge of the heater. So typically, when the sockets are small, thermocouple is right next to the socket, and the heater covers the socket and a lot of space around the socket, so we get stable temperature. Here, I had to use a little more of a, I don't know, experience, I guess, to just kind of know what the temperature is, because the reading was lower than the actual reading, and that's how you fry the sockets, that's how you melt the sockets, and we have only one socket, so we only had one chance with this. So not to melt it, I had to just kind of use my skills, I guess, not the devices, not rely on the devices. Now there is one defect over here that we have. That was done during the removal of the socket, and the reason, so you can see there's a little bit of charring, and you can see a tiny bit of melting, right? Not enough to deform it. This should work perfectly fine, but it is charred, right here in the middle, just over here. And from far away, you can see that it's a little darker over here. So I don't see any deformation, but that is the damage. But why did the damage occur? It's mainly because the socket, when I was removing it, it didn't want to let loose. And I didn't want to put too much pressure on it, because it's better to melt the memory stick or the memory slot than to rip the pod off. If you rip the pod, the board is done. If you just melt some plastic around it, it can be replaced much easier than rerouting, repairing pods. And for this particular CPU, from what I've seen, from what I've heard, this is not something that you can repair the pod. So overall, I think it went well. I'm gonna call it a almost perfect, almost flawless success. Although because of that slight melting of the memory port, memory slot, it's not flawless victory. But no rip pods, alignment seems good, the socket dropped, everything seemed fine. I don't see any indication that it wouldn't work. Nothing dripped on the heater, so this method works really well. And right before I placed the socket, I also put some flux on the board, as you saw. Also with the brush. Nothing seeped underneath through the board, so this works. So you don't have to stick any Captain tape at the back to prevent that. It's unnecessary, and it could be risky as well. Plus, you're blocking the heat. So, well, this was the first such challenge. We're gonna hear back from the customer, hopefully, whether the board works, whether the memory works. And most often when it doesn't work, meaning when the procedure fails, it's usually that the memory, one of the memory slots is not working, or a couple slots are not working. So if you're stuck on the memory, CPU is detected but there's no memory, just try different slots. Some of them might just not work, but the board might still be usable with limited memory. Hey, it's better than the paperweight, and technically, well, because of that discoloration over here, that might be a worst option, but you can still sell it as not working, right? It's still worth some money for parts. But that's all I have for you guys today. We have a nice little stack of boards I need to get to. I had a slight delay, mainly because of this board, because we had a fire. I had to clean the heater and make sure the machine works. So yeah, there was a little bit of the delay, but I'm back on track now. I'm gonna try to do at least 2 boards today still, and I have a couple ECMs to do as well. So busy day, which is good. Busy day is good, very good. Alrighty, fellas, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate you, and I shall see you guys in the next one.